Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday and it's time for Bridgerton. So we are going to jump into Bridgerton season 1, episode 2. Let's get into it. So we start with a flashback of the night that the Duke of Hastings was born. We learned that I think Lady Danbury is his mother's mother. So she would be his grandma, and his daddy wasn't shit. Childbirth looked horrific back then, and his mama died on the table. Yep, that's how it started. So, so the Featherton girls are whispering, trying to figure out what's going on with Miss Thompson, because they know she's knocked up. And so, of course, Penelope's like, so is there going to be a baby? What's happening? She was like, and why is she kept away from us? And her mama turned around talking about because her condition is catching. You can't catch pregnancy. You can't catch pregnancy, bitch. That's not how it works.
What's for that matter?
So Penelope and Daphne's sister are having a conversation. The sister is going on and on about how she should be able to go to university if she was a man, but she can't. She's stuck in this lot. This is her lot in life to find some man and get knocked up. And then Penelope's like, I know somebody with child. And she was like, who? Your mama? She's old, ain't she? And she's like, no, not my mama. She's like, it's a maid. And she was like, well, is the maid married? And she was like, nope. And she was like, well, how did this happen to her if she's not married? We need to find out, so this doesn't happen to us. Girl, the lack of knowledge is astounding. So, the brother Bridgerton, I can't remember his name right now, mad as hell, shows up with that stupid Lord Burbrook. He talk about you promised me, and what are all these people doing here? Because there's a whole bunch of people come to court her now that they know that the Duke is interested. She's having a lovely morning. Niggas is bringing flowers left and right, fawning and fainting all over her. She's like, okay, and this is a good 20, 30 people that I got to choose from. This plan is definitely working. And her stupid ass brother puts everybody out and then says, you're marrying. You done lost your monkey ass. Who the fuck is you talking to? And then her mother says, well, you have the Duke. So even if Lord Burbrook doesn't respect the fact that you said no and don't want to do it, he'll respect the Duke. Fuck the Duke. I said I don't want to marry you. So that's the end of that. Okay, pause before we get to Miss Thompson. So again, we have a flashback showing, I was correct in my first assumption of the Duke of Hastings' daddy. He ain't shit. But before we get to his ain't shitness, let's talk about Anthony Bridgerton and his ain't shitness. So he brings his stupid ass over to where the Duke of Hastings is boxing with his friend. Talk about, she's my sister, and why are you courting her? And she's going to be married to Lord Burbrook. And blah. Duke Hastings tries to tell this bastard that this Burbrook is not the answer. And he don't want to listen because he got his head so far up his ass he can't see straight. And then we jump to the Duke of Hastings' daddy, who, again, ain't shit. Talk about the baby is 4 and he hasn't spoken yet, and he was going to beat some sound out of him. And the little boy said no. And then he started to stutter, and he called the boy a half-wit and said they're going to lose the dukedom because he's a half-wit. Fuck you. So can we get into the fact that the queen ain't shit either? She ain't shit either. So the man comes to tell her, she's just sitting there, she's bored, she read Lady Whistledown. She's like, I can't believe there hasn't been a he says, Your Majesty, the royal physician wants to give you an update on the king. And she was like, can you believe this whole season hasn't been a compelling betrothal yet? And he said to her, he's like, well, I know a juicy tidbit about a scullery maid. And she was like, I don't care about a dish wench. That's not what I'm looking for. And he was like, but Your Majesty, she's like, is the doctor coming to tell me this man is dead? And he's like, no, ma'am. And she was like, well, tell him I'm busy. Oh, my God. Oh, I forgot. Penelope went to see Miss Thompson. She took her some sweets. She asked her how she got knocked up, and she told her It was love. The boy bought her. Okay, Miss Thompson told her it was love. She used the vicar, who was the pastor, used to give these 4 or 5 hour sermons. Who the fuck got time for all of that? The Lord word be quick, swift, to the point. So I don't know what the hell he was doing. And so she said that Sir George person used to bring her cookies and cakes because she was about to die from hunger in these long ass sermons as they fell in love, and that's how she got knocked up. Moving on. So I stand corrected. Apparently, Lady Danbury, the Duke's mom, was Lady Danbury's best friend, not her daughter. So she came to see the little boy. She's like, "You've been here this whole time, and I was not glad you're alive because we only see you. We don't hear about your school, and we don't hear nothing." And she was like, "Lord," she introduced herself, and the baby didn't say anything. And she was like, "Are you learning to read, write, fence, everything?" And he shook his head. Yes. She was like, "Well, what is the issue?" And he said, "I cannot speak." And he stuttered when he said, "Oh, it broke my little heart, the little baby face. Oh my God, I want to eat his face up. He reminds me of Scooter Boop." And she gave him a pep talk. And she said, "We're going to get rid of this stammer, and you're going to step into the light and command all of the attention that's going to be heaped upon you." I'm here for it. Black excellence. I had to say something. So they get to the dance, and so Daphne and the Duke start dancing, and they talk about, "We gotta pretend like we like each other. Like, I really need you to step this up so we can get rid of this Burbrook because my brother has lost his motherfucking mind." And so Anthony makes the other brother go and dance with Daphne while he talks to the Duke, and Burbrook tries to butt in, and the Duke tells the brother Anthony, he's like, "Did you ask him how he got that purple eye?" And he was like, "I was misfortunate with some cabinets." He's like, "Or your sister had to punch this bastard in the face when he tried her last night." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Okay, bet. Don't ever talk to my sister again." He's like, "But we're to be married." He said, "Or you will be buried if I see you even utter her name. Get out of my face before I punch you." I don't know if this is the last we're going to see of Bridgerton, Mr. Burbrook, because I feel like he's slimy and he's like Jason. He's going to pop back up at the end. But now Daphne has to talk to the Duke because now she understood that he done told her about Burbrook. And she was like, because her brother was like, "Don't worry, you don't have to worry about Burbrook anymore. It's done." Well, all right. Okay, so Burbrook has clearly not learned his lesson. I told y'all he's going to pop up. I didn't know it was going to be this fast, but he is following. The Duke of Hastings drop off Lady Danbury, and he's walking home because he's trying to figure out what his next move is going to be, I guess. And Lord Burbrook is following him. And he was like, "Why can't you just let me have her? Like, she's an object. Like, you already have the status and the clout and all this other stuff, and I need her. You don't need her." And he's like, "Well, maybe it should be Miss Bridgerton who decides." He's like, "When I go to buy a horse, I don't ask the opinion of the horse." And he was like, "Okay, you're being a dick." And he was like, "Well, if you're so hellbound, pushed in love with her, and she's smitten with you, why haven't you asked her to marry you yet?" He's like, "Or have you already had her? Just let me know. I want to know if she's sullied and unintact." He said, "I will knock you the fuck out if you mention this girl unimpeachable honor again." And so Burbrook says, "I would think if anybody could overlook a person's temporary lack of judgment, it would be you, because the way your father acted when he was trying to get a son and all the methods he went through to try and get one, when your poor mother wasn't producing no boys." And he said something crazy. And he was like, and so he's whooping his ass now. You shouldn't have been talking shit. I don't get that ass whooping. So they just keep compounding the ain't shitness of this boy's daddy. So Lady Danbury brings the baby to see him, and the little boy is speaking without a stutter, but he does hesitate. And his dad says, "You are my worst failure." And he done called Lady Danbury a bitch and to get out of his sight. And the baby said, "I've written you letters to let you know that I'm not dead. Did you receive them?" He's like, "It is your greatest insult to know that you will inherit the dukedom. And I'm going to do with you what I did with your mother and forget she ever sullied these halls." Well, fuck you. I hope you die alone and miserable. You stupid bastard.
Rose, can you leave us for a moment?
So, the fuck is happening on TikTok? Okay, so apparently Burbrook shows up at first Lord Hasty shows up and they have a conversation. And he's like, you don't have to worry about Burbrook. And she's like, y'all know, that's still not, I need to find a husband still. And so they have a little conversation. She's talking about she want to marry for love. And then Burbrook shows his beat up ass with a special marriage license saying he's going to marry her in 3 days. Or he's going to tell everybody that he sullied her on the dark walk at Vauxhall. So Anthony was like, I'm going to shoot this motherfucker. And his mom was like, you can't do that. And now Daphne's like, I guess I got to marry this bastard because there's no way out of this because he will ruin our whole family. Ain't this a son? So shout out to the queen and Daphne's mama. So the queen has Daphne's mama over for tea. And she puts a little bug in her hair about how the footman, Brimsley, she's like, you can't speak in his presence because your business be all over England. And she's like, that's how rumors get spread. And then the light bulb goes off over Daphne's mama's head. And they invite Burbrook's mama over for tea just to have the maids talk about what happens in the Burbrook household. And apparently he done got one of the maids pregnant and sent her off and don't pay for his baby. So that they then, in turn, as women, did what women do, and they continued to talk and talk and talk until it ended up in Lady Whistledown's paper, and everybody knows, and everybody's giving, everybody and all the men in the club is looking at him cockeyed and, nigga, you just got a baby on your maid and you not gonna take care of the baby? That's what you got going on? And so Lord Burbrook has to leave town on alleged business because he is ruined. Then Anthony comes to his mama and he's like, I heard Lord Burbrook has gone out of town. He's like, I resolved to handle matters differently from now on. And his mama was like, or not at all, because clearly you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Clearly. And so she was like, I got this. I'm putting some tulips in the hem of your sister's dress for when she decides to marry the Duke. I could also do some when you decide to pick a wife. Ooh, pick your face up off the floor, son. Oh my God. Okay, so they is really stepping up this entanglement situation with the Duke and Daphne. They're going to end up falling in love. I'm calling it now, and probably because I read the book. But let's get back to the Duke of Hastings ain't shit daddy, who's clearly about to die. Okay, so that was it. Hold on, because, you know, this is Netflix, and it will go to the next episode. So the Duke of Hastings come back to his daddy, who was on his deathbed, and he was like, my heart smells with pride to see the Duke that you've grown into. And he leans over to his daddy and says, I just want you to know that this will be the only vow that I make in my life. I will never marry. I will never have children. And the line will die with me. And then he stood up and looked at his daddy and said, speak, you fucking monster. And his daddy died. Child. Anyway, so let's get into my final thoughts. So I thoroughly enjoyed this episode of Bridgerton. Now that we have defeated the dastardly Lord Burbrook, now we just have to get into the actual love story of the Duke and Daphne. I can't wait. Somebody need to help Eloise, because she on edge. She out here smoking cigarettes and cutting the food. Also, Sis Thompson's trying to run away to be with her boo thing, who done knocked her up. Like, it's a lot of moving parts. Penelope, I'm still rooting for you, and the other Bridgerton brother, who she got a crush on. So we will see what happens in the next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a kid, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.